Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. Death Knight Paranoid coming at you with a PvE 5-star gem tier list. This is my opinion on what the best PvE gems are for player versus environment. Without further ado, let's get down to it. So we're going to start with D tier. Gonna have to go with Swensen's Haunting being D tier. Swensen's Haunting sends off a Dark Beast after you defeat an enemy, and it has like a 6-second cooldown. And at higher ranks, it has a chance to send off an additional beast. Not really the best 5-star gem. It's only really good for food or for sticking in the gem resonance. Then we have Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart is above Swensen's. Frozen Heart gives a shield and can freeze enemies or chill enemies. Freeze or chill. Frozen Heart's pretty much only really good for PvP. Then we got Blessing of the Worthy. I'm going to rate Blessing of the Worthy over Frozen Heart. It has a chance to unleash a retribution around you and then decrease the damage you take. Phoenix Ashes is definitely going to get rated below Swensen's. Phoenix Ashes is not really good for PvE. It can prevent you from dying, but there's way better PvE gems over Phoenix Ashes. Howler's Call. I'm going to have to give a high D. Can unleash a wave of wolves with primary attacks. It's not really, it was once upon a time decent, but now it's kind of been overshadowed. Probably got to do Concentrated Will as D2. Whenever you dash, it sends down a angelic angel that shoots a orb of light from where you dash from to where you dash to. And then I think at higher ranks it can increase your damage after you dash. I'm not too certain. I can't really remember. Chip of Stone Flesh for PvE. See, the thing is, you're going to be bursting a lot, and Chip of Stone Flesh is not really going to be good for PvE. I'm going to have to rate it above Swensen's, but below Frozen Heart. So whenever you do CC, Chip of Stone, it has to be hard CC. Chip of Stone Flesh can deal damage based on the amount of damage they took after they got CC. Then I'm going to have to rate Hilt of Many Realms below Concentrated Will. Hilt of Many Realms, whenever it procs, you can get swords that rain down upon enemies up to 5 skills. I'm not sure what it does at high ranks, as I have not ranked one up. I usually use it for food. All right, I think it's time to move on to the C tier. So we have Spiteful Blood. Spiteful Blood is decent. Whenever you hit 50% life, it gives you a shield, and then it also increases your damage, and then it also makes it so you're immune to auto attacks. It's all right because of the damage increase, but it's not really something. It's not better than a lot of gems for PvE. Then we got Maul of the Deep. Maul of the Deep at a C tier. Reason why is because it sort of makes a whirlpool, and then whenever the Leviathan comes up, it can deal a burst amount of damage and then break their armor. It's pretty much only C tier because of the shatter armor effect. Then we have Storm Vault below. See, this is where Storm Vault could be above Maul of the Deep, but it could also be below Maul of the Deep. It depends on if you're doing lightning or not. Storm Vault could still be alright for PvE, but not really the best. I'm going to have to rate it below Maul of the Deep because Maul of the Deep can be used more for PvE than Storm Vault can. But Storm Vault makes a condensed lightning storm that follows enemies. Then we got Starfire Shard. I'm going to have to rate it above Storm Vault. It's kind of like Maul of the Deep, except it doesn't shatter armor, and instead it makes a meteor come down and then burn enemies. It's all right for PvE, but it's not really the best. Oh, we forgot about a gem. Hellfire Fragment. Uh Hellfire Fragment is D tier. So whenever it procs, you get 3 Hellfire shards surrounding you that after you cast 3 skills, they shoot out at random enemies and can deal a lot of burst. I'm going to rate it above Howler's Call because it does have a lot of burst potential. But for the most part, Hellfire Fragment's a D tier. I completely forgot about that one and did not see that one down there. All right, time to move on to the B tier. So we have Seeping Bile. Seeping Bile has a 4% chance to apply a dot. Seeping Bile is really only good for like dot based builds for PvE. But it's not really A or S tier for PvE. It could be borderline B, C, but I'm going to rate it a low B. Then we have Echoing Shade. I'm going to rate Echoing Shade above Seeping Bile. Echoing Shade makes clones of yourself that utilize your primary attack. It's really good for summon builds because they count as summons. Then we have Gloomcast. Gloomcast is only good for primary attack builds. It's really good for like Demon Hunters and sometimes Blood Knights. But it's pretty much only good for primary attacks. Then we have Void Spark. Void Spark is a gem that does lightning up to 6 enemies, like a lightning strike up to 6 enemies for 6 seconds, and it can only occur every once per second. As it gets higher ranks, it increases your attack speed. I'm rating it above Gloomcast because Void Spark has more potential to be in more builds. Wolfheart. All right, Wolfheart is B tier, a high B tier. Because it's like Fated Trail, but instead of life, it goes based on how much damage you have, and it procs every 0.3 seconds. It kind of got overshadowed by Fated Trail, and I'm rating Wolfheart a B, high B, possibly low A. It's somewhere between A and B, but Wolfheart is still a really good gem. And then Golden Firmament, I'm going to have to rate below Wolfheart. Golden Firmament shoots off wind blasts at random enemies. It could proc stuff like Firestorm. It could proc Firestorm. Now, A tier for PvE. So we're going to start with Fated Trail. Fated Trail is like Wolfheart, but it deals damage based on how much life you have set. Depending on what rank it is, it'll deal more. Like mine is 7% of my life every second. And then it also does a stacking shatter armor effect, so it's really good at A tier. Then we have Colossus Engine. I'm going to have to rate below Fated Trail. Colossus Engine only increases skill damage and increases skill range, and then also grants immunity to knockback. Colossus Engine is good in a lot of builds. Bottled Hope. I think Bottled Hope is still in high A tier. It definitely got overshadowed by Hellbound Desire. But Bottled Hope is still good. Grants increased damage and increased movement speed whenever you buff yourself. It's like Colossus Engine, but instead of just skills, it's all damage, and then it gives you movement speed too. Now on to the S tier. Let's see. Let's start with the lowest one. I'm going to have to do... See, these are all really good ones that are left. Let's do lowest. Would probably have to be Blood-Soaked Jade. Blood-Soaked Jade is still an S tier gem. It grants you a passive damage increase and passive movement speed increase, and then at higher ranks, whenever you're below 50% life, it can decrease the amount of damage you take. Then we're going to have to go with Haunt Coil. Haunt Coil is above Blood-Soaked Jade. Haunt Coil has a 10% chance to proc, depending on what stance you're in, either an offensive stance or defensive stance. If you're in an offensive stance, it'll increase your damage based on what rank it is, and then apply a dot-like effect, even though it's not a dot. And then if you're in defensive stance, it'll decrease the amount of damage you take. and still apply a dot-like effect. Then we got Roiling Consequence next. Roiling Consequence will, when it procs, increases your critical hit chance, makes enemies burn, and increases your critical hit chance based on the amount of burning enemies. Then we got Blood Flow. Does almost the same thing as Roiling Consequence, except Blood Flow is also going to increase your damage and increase your critical hit damage. Give a bleed to enemies and then give you increased critical hit chance based on how many bleeding enemies there are. Then we got Leviathan Tome. Leviathan Tome is just really good. Will grant you increased damage. And then we have Hellbound Desire. The Hellbound Desire is like Bloodsoaked Jade, but on steroids. So it has a flat damage increase and movement speed increase that is passive. And then when you damage enemies, it embeds soul shards into them. And depending on what rank it is, it's always going to be 40% of the damage increase that you get from the passive amount, and then it stacks up to 5 times. So like with mine, I think I get like 40% damage increase with mine right now, and then at higher ranks it also reduces beneficial effect duration on enemies it hits, which for PvE that's not going to really matter, but the damage bonus and movement speed bonus is really good for this gem. So yeah, this is my 5-star honest opinion of a gem tier list for Diablo Immortal for PvE, and I'll see you guys in the next one.